Hello, and welcome to 10 Very Big Books, a Malazan Read-Through podcast. My name is Peter Bond. I've read every book in the main series. However, my co-hosts are reading the series for the first time. With me today is my friend and closest confidant, India Jones.
Hello.
And our producer, AJ Fileri, is with us. How are the levels looking?
The levels are looking good. My chapter recall is kind of spotty. It's been a few weeks.
It's gonna be all right, buddy. It's gonna be all right. And finally, he's been shorn from his kind. It's Joshua Dean Baker.
My crimes were unspeakable.
But also kept somewhat vague.
Because they're I can't talk about them.
Yeah.
That nickname for Josh came to us from Anthony Fleming. So thank you for supporting the show. And also shout out to Vishnu and Josh.
Yeah, Vishnu and Josh who passed the ball. They were our first two $10 patrons in the Ascendant tier when you get to name Josh for the thing.
Name and Josh. But yeah. Good vibes. But I'm very excited to talk about these chapters. You know, I feel like I'm like having a great time with this book. I don't know where you guys are at.
I like it.
All right, that was a tepid response.
I can't tell if my enjoyment of these chapters declined because I took like a week and a half break between the first three chapters and the final chapter, or if I just like didn't like the last chapter as much.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. We had to take a extended time to record this one. I've been like chomping at the bit to keep reading the book.
Yes, I do want to keep reading. That is true.
So.
I disagree. Very boring. Well, at the beginning, it's annoying because like a chapter will be boring for like, I don't know, 25 pages. And I'm like, oh my God. And then it starts to pick up and I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't that bad. But like, you know, I just wish we had a more consistent, enjoyable reading experience here. But beggars can't be choosers.
Do you feel like it's like inconsistent between different storylines?
No, for me personally, for my personal preference, some things I obviously find to be more boring. And like other things I think are more interesting. So like it was really boring the first chapter until I got to like Lostara. And then I'm like, oh wow, this is actually interesting. So and that it's just an ebb and flow that just keeps happening throughout the whole 4 chapters.
Well, I'm excited to talk about Lostara, so let's get this show on the road. Chapter 8. The adjunct Tavor reviews the assembled 14th Army. The sapper Cuttle joins Gamut's Legion. Cuttle is a veteran of the Chain of Dogs and works with Fiddler to fool around with munitions. The munitions draw Gamut's Legion into tight ranks and order. Gamut offers the sapper a command position, but he has a post in Fiddler's squad. Tavor then speaks with her fists when Captain Kenob's adopted son Grub approaches. The orphan lifts a bone up in the shadow of the adjunct, and the entire 8th Legion sees this omen. The veterans Stormy, Gessler, Cuttle, and Fiddler meet. The omen foretells a child leading the army to their deaths. Fiddler tells the story of Admiral Nock, and they agree they must swallow the omen whole if they are to deal with the bad fortune. Adjunct Tavor listens to her fist concern briefly, but then commands they will march forward, and that alcohol and Durhang will be confiscated from the soldiers. She goes to find her lover to Amber. Tavor leaves and her fists debate the wisdom of marching forward, speak about Grub, and speculate about Amber. Lostara Yil reflects on her time as a Red Blade, growing up in Erlatan and then rounded up by a cult of Rashan. She was taught the skill of shadow dancing, and recalls a high priest Delat visiting her master Bidithal at the time, and saving Lostara from him. In the streets then, Cotillion appears and speaks to Lostara about assassinations, empires, and eventually Lostara asks how she can serve him. Pearl and Lostara meet up later, and they go to question Gessler, Stormy, and Pella. They track them down in the barracks and wake up Stormy. Together, they interrogate them about the Otataro mines, the time on the Solanda with Felison, and what happened at Erin with the Chain of Dogs. After they go to find the Solanda and investigate the magical boat. Together, the two suspect that perhaps Felison may have ended up overland in the middle of the rebellion. Once more, the army has made ranks for the adjunct to review. However, the veterans led an effort to loot small bones, much of the army wears them as fetishes. They're to turn the omen. The adjunct suggests they should be worn uniformly and permits it. Then, Coltane's own Crow clan arrives as volunteers.
So I'd like to start here and point out one of my least favorite things about fantasy is that sometimes there's a word that in everyday life means one thing, but then you have to remember that in fantasy it means something completely different. For example, fetish. In real life, it means that, look, I'm not trying to yuck any yums. Maybe you like feet. Maybe you like, I don't know, leather. But in fantasy books, you have to remember that it means a small ornament that dangles from your body, typically representative of something. And it's like, why the fuck can we get a different word besides fetish for that?
I gotta say, Steve loves fetishes. I feel like he uses the word a lot.
Well, I mean, dude, sorry, we cut those parts of the interviews, Peter. Don't forget.
That was much better than my joke. I was going to say, would you say Steve has a fetish for fetishes?
Yeah. Listen, it was all there. You know, I don't think Josh gets so much credit. It was pretty obvious.
I don't know.
Anyway,
thank you.
So Josh, obviously this chapter opens and we're kind of getting the armies falling in line. We're seeing the different divisions, and then we see kind of adjunct Tavor, and then we also see it on the ground with Cuddle and Fiddler amongst the veterans. So how'd you feel with checking in with the Malazans as they're preparing to leave?
Well, it was pretty interesting. I feel like a lot of what we've seen to the Malazans so far is just like hyper, rigor and order and uniformity, and like we're now seeing like a very raw Malazan army and what that's like. I honestly really enjoyed just like as a high school teacher. Sometimes the strategy is to wait. We learned that a lot as young teachers is to wait, but like sometimes you can't wait because like someone's gonna fucking punch someone in the face. And this really felt like that. Like Adjunct Tavor is just like, I'm waiting. We won't move on until you're in order. And that just was super duper not working. And I really, really resonated with me because I was like, at some point you have to do something. And I really thought it was interesting that like literally none of them did anything until Cuddle's like, what's up? I got a bomb. Here it is. And just that was the solution. I don't know. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. And we meet Cuddle here, too. Did you feel anything for our new sapper?
Literally nothing. Am I supposed to remember him from the second book, or is he just Okay, good. That's what I was hoping. I mean, he seems fine. He seems like, what if Fiddler, but I didn't have an emotional attachment to him?
Sure. So, Inge, we chose... there was a lot of deliberation about what the art should be for this season of the show, and we went with the hand holding the bone. So now we finally see the bone holding hand with this bad omen. What did you make of this, and do you follow a lot of omens in your day-to-day life?
You would have thought that I would have recognized that you did a hand with a bone and that this would have been why I'd be like, oh, that's why they did that. But I didn't realize that. So thank you.
Well, there you go.
Thank you for that connection. Why is that an omen? And no, I don't believe bad omens in like life. Did they say, or are they just like, it is because it is?
I actually have the quote here. I was just looking at it.
Oh,
sure, hit me.
For when they elaborate on what the omen is. A child leads us to our deaths, a leg bone to signify our march, withered under the curse of the desert sun. We've all lived too long, seen too much, to deceive ourselves of this one brutal truth. This army of recruits now sees themselves as already dead.
That's the most stupidest thing that I've ever heard in my life.
Well, so the child signifies Tavor, right? Being a child, leading them across Raraku, leading them with their legs, their leg bones.
Yeah.
To die because they are bones.
India,
I guess it makes more sense because it would be more common in this setting.
Yeah,
but if I was next to you, Josh, and you were like, this means we're leading to our death. The kid's holding the bone. That bone represents us, and the child represents Tavor, and it's a leg because we're going to march. I would be like, what the fuck are you talking about, Josh?
Yeah.
You know?
I think really once gods can physically manifest and are okay with meddling in human affairs, you just gotta assume it all the time that shit is like a hint at what gods are doing or what's to come. Like if I tried to pour my cereal in this universe and like didn't have enough milk, I'd be like, it's a drought. We gotta go.
It just feels like they're playing pretty fast and loose with reading into it, but We can touch on it later, I suppose, because they turn it, obviously.
Yeah, I would think that their quickness to assume it's an omen is representative of how little faith they actually have in
I think you're
Tavor
right
and
about
the whole march and everything.
And I think soldiers in general in the series so far have been shown to be a pretty superstitious lot. You know.
Yeah.
Josh, are you superstitious at all?
No, I'm a little stitious, but I'm not superstitious.
Fuck you.
AJ, cut it from the show. Cut it. Cut that.
I'm just gonna bleep it out.
I really like the story Fiddler tells about the snakes in the barrel. I just think that's good old fashioned fun.
Oh yeah, that was a lot.
So Inge, after all, actually at the end here, Tavor says everything's gonna be confiscated, and she goes off to meet to Amber, and then afterwards, like, all the other fists kind of gab about her after she leaves. So how are you feeling about the adjunct now, and how are you feeling about her commanders kind of just like, gabbing?
I still like the adjunct. I don't have any complaints about her just yet. I just think that she's like a lady trying to do her job, and I respect it. And then as for the people gabbing at like about where she's going and who she's going with and who is this person, it's just like, don't you have anything better to do, guys? Don't you have a job to do? And also, did we meet her lover? Or was that just randomly thrown in there and I'm supposed to have just been like, oh yeah, all along she was...
No, we haven't met it, but I think it was mentioned one or two other times that at the end of her chapter she was going off to see Amber. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, who the hell is this person?
Yeah. We haven't met her, no.
Yeah, in one of the previous chapters, Tavor asked Pearl, I think, to get to Amber or something.
Yeah, I think it's very clear that at the end of her days she retires to go see Amber.
Right.
Don't we all?
And shout out a queer character, so
yeah.
And Inge, after that, Lostara Yil, I would say, really in some ways gets a proper introduction and backstory. We followed this character in Deadhouse Gates, and we learn about her quest that she's kind of gets from Tavor in this. But here we learn all about her childhood, how she came to the Red Blades and how she came to the art of shadow dancing, all this stuff. Then Cotillion shows up and she has this whole conversation with him. And I feel like she really pops out to me in this section. So I wonder how you feel about her in this part and how you're feeling about Lostara Yil.
Yeah, love her. They finally gave her a plot, and he finally gave her a plot, and I'm so happy about it. It was so interesting. I have no idea. I don't know if I was supposed to know that she was like a shadow dancer person, or what that even really means, or where she was, or who Rashad is. No idea about all that. But it was very interesting. I don't understand how Cotillion is just like, hey guys, I'm just like everyone else. Will you help me? And everyone's just like, seems legit. Yeah. He's just a guy looking for help. So I loved that. I have a few questions though about
everyone
when he came to talk to her.
Very friendly.
Yeah.
He's a charismatic guy.
You were saying, sorry.
No. What? Okay. So as a child, she got dragged down, whatever, to go live and serve in this place. Then somebody was like, okay, no, we're going to take you and you're going to dance, but your shadow's going to dance. And she was like, not that good. And then the people came to see her, one of them being who?
Quickpen.
Oh, what?
Yeah. His Quickpan is Adolphus Delat. His last name is Delat. So yeah, you're supposed to realize that that's Quickpan, or at least I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah, Quickpen was the one who kind of saved her as a kid.
No.
Yeah.
You lie like a Persian rug. That's fantastic. I did not know that. I was like wondering why that name sounded like kind of familiar, Delat, but then I was like, nah, I don't know who that is. That's no one that's relevant.
It's his last name. And in Gardens of the Moon, actually, when, Quickpen visits Shadowthrone for in his, in the Warren for one time, and when he's leaving, Shadowthrone is like, Delat! He I believe he's doing a full damn you.
Oh, nice.
Saying Delat. I believe. I could be wrong.
That's hilarious. Okay.
Is there a rule about how often a sentence can just be chilling with people? Because I feel like I don't Cotillion's doing a lot of just roaming around.
He's building an army.
Well, he's doing something.
He's networking. He's making connections, and that's important in this modern economy.
His LinkedIn is fucking popping off right now.
He's very into LinkedIn.
Yeah, I don't understand exactly what's going on, but he's just gaining the trust of everyone with his boyish charm.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, then the guy that's with Shaik now,
Bidethal.
Yeah, Bidethal was running the cult. And the cult is Rashan, which is the human Warren of darkness, you know. And she was with the cult, and then Quickben saved her from Bidethal and that cult.
That whole ending to me was so confusing when she's like, and then it was over, and then they had bad ideas of what they were going to do. I was like, I just was so confused at what happened and how she got out from then on. Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Great. Thank you. So when she says that she wants, when she's asking Cotillion if he knows where Quickben is that in a good way then, or a bad way? Right? Doesn't she ask him where someone is? Do you know where that person is? Guys, come on.
Oh, I'm blanking.
I don't know.
She's looking. She asks him right before he leaves, like, do you know where I can find XY person? No?
I vaguely remember.
I forget. Does she ask about Felison?
No, I think she asked about Quickben. I think that's what India said.
Yeah.
And I feel like she does not. I feel like she maybe doesn't.
Oh, yeah. Where is this Delat?
Is that in a good way or a bad way?
I don't know.
Peter, you read the books. Fine. That's my thoughts on Lostara Yil. I love her so much. She is another female character that I adore.
I really have turned a big corner on her. I did not care about her at all.
I know! She was so stupid!
Yep.
And I think it's because this section, like, I feel like makes her we learn more about her, so we're able to understand her more as a character, and it definitely makes me more interested in her, knowing about her past with the Red Blades. You know, I think that's interesting, and to know, like, how she ended up fighting for them, you know, and where she is now. And I think it just, I don't know, lets you into her character more. So, Josh, it seems like we're all on board with Lostara Yil a little more, but then she and Pearl kind of go on a little adventure thing, and they do a whole little sleuthing time together. So how did you feel kind of seeing her and Pearl kind of hear secondhand a lot of stuff we saw firsthand? And where do you think their mission to go find Felison is going to take them?
Oh, it's a great question. I mean, the information they have is very little, right? I mean, they know that probably somewhere in the middle of the desert they got dropped off out of the Warren of Fire. I don't know how much they're going to find as far as evidence, you know what I mean? Because, like, if I remember correctly, the three of them got dropped out. They got attacked by something before they got attacked by that fucking dude and his zombies.
Yeah, they got attacked by divers.
The divers guy. And then, so, like, I mean, barring these two magically finding the remnants of that camp, I don't really know what physical evidence they're going to have, you know what I mean? I would say it's probably more likely that they're going to slowly uncover that Felison is Shaik reborn. You know, they're going to be like, we're looking for a girl that looks like this. And they're going to be like, you mean Shaik? She's in Raraku, you know?
Oh, my God? Yeah.
Yeah, the goddess reborn? Oh, yeah, she's over there. You know, that's my people of the desert voice.
Interesting. And right now, what do you think? Like, do you like, where do you think? I'm just so curious. Where do you think that's going though? So they get out to the desert.
Oh man, I don't know. I haven't read the fucking book yet.
I know.
You
just
know the
some
answer.
Wild speculation on record.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. So then at the end,
India, I did find that section. Without a full reread of that entire section, I don't know how she's saying that.
I feel like
I think she's curious. I think she's curious. I think she wants to meet the person that saved her. But I'm not 100%.
So at the very end of this chapter, the army all has dug up various finger bones and small bones that have adorned themselves with the fetishes. And then Tavor kind of approves of it in a way, and we hear a little bit more about reinforcements. So, AJ, how are you feeling overall about it? I know technically, I think they leave in chapter 11, but how are you feeling about the state of this army as they're going to go march out in the desert?
I think they're more organized than they were previously, which I think was obvious, but I think them showing, I don't know, I think the finger bones kind of shows a willingness to actually be a cohesive unit, you know, as opposed to just like being forced to do this shitty trek across a desert. But I don't know, man. I don't think they're prepared. I think it's tough for them to be prepared just because they don't really know kind of what they're up against completely, I suppose.
Before we move on to talk about Kalam, Cutter, and Troll, we just want to take a moment to thank everyone who's backed us on Patreon since we last recorded. It's very flattering, and we just want to shout everyone out and thank everyone for the support. So,
let's get her started. A huge thank you to Maddie, Tytiel, Sandra, Roberto, Tim, Morden, Michael, Ciandric, Chris, Harrison, and JB.
Thank you to Steven, Dimitri, Jay, Scott, Mojo DL, Pratik, Todd, Benoit, Ryan, Kjartan, and Ol.
Also, thank you to Peter, Tracy. One moment, I have to switch to page 2, which is a crazy sentence. Pete, Mallory, Karen, Joshua, Dylan, Amira, Scott, Matthew, Sandra, M, Nick, Daniel, Daniel L, Robert, Zayas, Marashti, Jerry, Katie, and Logan.
Shouts out to my boy Jerry, my dungeon master. You the real one.
Nice.
Jerry supporting us. DM up in the house.
Yeah, heck yeah. So we're now at 68 backers in just about 2 weeks, which is truly, truly wild.
It's very flattering, and it makes me feel bad because the way we record this show, this episode won't come out for like
a month,
5-6 weeks or something. Yeah. So it's very asynchronous. There's not a very. It's kind of weird in a way. So
yeah, it's a little weird. Sorry if you've been waiting a long time for your thank, but I mean, c'est la vie, you know.
But thank you.
Yes,
Shout
thank you
out
so.
to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. At time of recording, we're at $232 a month, and it's wild. It's just so humbling and makes me feel great personally that we have
nothing
such
like that external validation.
Well, we have such a wonderful community, and it's so great to that people are willing to come out and give us money, and we'll never be able to thank you enough. Truly.
Now let's keep talking. Chapter 9. Let's keep the ball rolling. Chapter 9. In Gadanispan, Kalam speaks of a new unaligned card and the House of Chains. Afterwards, he buys an ensorcelled dagger and follows a rumor of Malazans holed up in the mountain fortress of Burdus. He travels towards the fortress thinking of the rebellion's strategies. Mid-morning, he arrives at the besieged camp. He learns that holed up inside the fortress is the Ashok Regiment, who have returned to 7 cities from Ganabakas. He speaks more to the Captain Uriz about the situation. He meets the linchpin to break into the fortress, a young mage named Sin. They argue a bit about Kalam and the rebellion. He also hears that Captain Kindly leads the defending Malazans. That night, he goes to try and sneak into the fort, but finds Sin. The young mage trained under Fael, but the high mage killed her parents and tried to hunt her down, and now she comes to find her half-brother who is amongst the Malazans. Sin has poisoned the camp's water, and some rebels are slowly dying by it. Kalam then goes and takes Sin to join the Malazans. Kalam blows a whistle gifted to him from Cotillion, and he conjures a demon from Shadow. The demon goes out and captures the rebel Captain Uriz, and then they all retreat to the mountain fortress. Kalam introduces himself to Captain Kindly's squad, and he goes further in to meet the Ashok Regiment. Cutter and Apsalar sail towards the island of Drift Avali. The island moves and is covered by strange clouds. Cutter thinks about Apsalar and a relationship with Cotillion, and then speaks to her about the Tist Andi that are said to inhabit the island. They get closer and the boat is wrecked. Cutter washes up on shore alone and meets an old Tisti Andi going by Darist. Darist says Apsalar probably drowned and interrogates Cutter about why he is here, and if he serves Animander Rake. They also speak of the Throne of Shadow, the Tist Eater, and the Tist Andi here on the island. Darist finally says it is only him here where the throne is, but soon they will have company. In the nascent, Onrak and Troll speak of the Hounds of Shadows, the First Empire, and what it means to create a statue. As they walk through these massive statues, Onrak breaks a pillar. 2 hounds attack them, Hounds of Darkness. Onrak's arm is shattered, and the Talani mass is broken. His vow is ripped from him, and he cannot heal himself. Onrak and Troll continue on, The Talani Mass speaks of what his people do with broken Talani Mass. Further on, they find a strange portal. They use munitions to shatter the magic of it and foretist the ocean of Mirage. They wear light and serve the hero Osric. They speak dismissively to Onrak Control about the Tist Andi, the Eater, and purity. The conversation eventually leads to drawing swords. But before it comes to blows, 4 Talani Mass emerge, led by the Bonecaster Monarch. The Bonecaster says they are all trapped in a fragment of Corald Amerlin, and that they will have to find a way out together. Kalam has arrived at 7 cities, and he buys all the stuff. He goes to his fortress and he meets all these people, and it feels like his adventure is really starting in earnest. So how did you feel about this? And it's a big chunk. How'd you feel about this big kind of chunk of adventure that Kalam goes on that ends up with him ending up with the Malazans inside this fortress?
Where was Kalam? He was with his family, and then he went out, and then he left, and now he's here. Correct.
Yeah, he was in the Warren of Shadow.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. This whole part was just super random to me. Did he know he was going here when he got here? Whatever. And then he finds I didn't think that they were Malazan people that he found. I thought he found anti-Malazan people, but then.
He finds besieging anti-Malazan people and then ends up infiltrating the Malazan encampment they are besieging and ends up with the Ashok regiment.
So, India, do you remember how in the camp with Sheikh right now, there's that Korbal Odam guy?
Yeah.
And he's a renegade Malazan general.
Oh.
So, these people who are anti-Malazan are Malazan forces under Korbal Odam, who broke off because shit was hard under him and he was a little crazy, and he, crucified all those people. So they were like, we're done with that. We're going to go over here. And they're hunting down the other half of their unit, who is loyal to Malazan / they just kind of fucking hate the captain. He's the captain that captured Karsa way back in the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
These are the guys that had him on the ship forever.
That we're with now, or that we're trying to...
So the ones that they're trying to kill, who Kalam gets to, those are the people who captured Karsa and were with him briefly on the ship.
So, Sin poisoned, good people or bad people?
Bad people, well, I mean, what's good and bad,
Yeah, I don't know, mate.
So the people that Sin poisoned, originally Malazan, now fighting against Malazan.
Okay.
Under the general idea, but they're kind of shitty because they do admit they're gonna fucking torture Kindly to death.
Yes, I did see that. Oh no, we gotta take them alive. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. So they don't seem like great people.
Okay. And so, okay. All right. I got it. Yeah. What is his end game? Kalam?
We don't know. He was given an unknown quest by Cotillion.
This is freaking... this part,
and
I didn't think it was confusing until you just asked me about it. So
can I ask real quick, jumping 2 paragraphs ahead, but still in the same area, Peter?
Sure.
Did the people that he gets up to, the Ashok regiment, who's I guess good, did they throw Captain Kindly down a pit?
Yeah, the well.
They were lots of pits down here. Shame he fell. But it is noted that he is an asshole to everybody. So did they just kill him?
It's gonna be looped around on, so I'm gonna leave.
Okay. I'm glad you also picked up on that in India. I was like, am I crazy?
Yeah, no, they were people die here.
So
or fall in pits.
Angie mentioned her. Kalam meets Sin here, and she kind of is introduced to us. How'd you feel about Sin and kind of her role in emerging into his story?
It was a little tricky, a little tricksy, because. At first,
nice
I didn't realize.
Lord of the Rings
reference. You got me. Yeah, because at first you think that she's just along with everyone, and then you find out actually no, she has her entire own agenda and is going and is kind of a badass on her own, just doing shit and well, it's gonna work, so we're gonna do it. So I like her.
Yeah.
I think she's interesting. A little crazy. You don't just poison a ton of people without really and it seemed like she really didn't know what it was going to do either. She was like, yeah, I just kind of did it.
I threw it in there.
Yeah, I don't, how much, I don't know, all of it. So she seems,
an amount, it'll be bad.
Exactly. I think she seems fun. I hope that we get to I don't know, I hope that her and Kalam become another one of these infamous frickin' duos that are all over this book, because I feel like they balance each other out. He seems a bit more which I don't know how I'm actually saying this, but he seems in this kind of particular duo to be more tactical. And she just is Fuck it, let's
What
do
up?
it.
I got this poison. They're gonna die. How?
So here's that. I like their union, and I think they're going to be fun. I'm excited to see if they stick together or if she just goes off on her own.
So, Josh, I have a very hard-hitting question for you. Our last demon companion, Apt, is a beloved character for me, you know?
Yes.
And in this chapter, Kalam summons another demon. How did you feel this demon lived up to the high demon bar?
Well, I'll say that this demon was very, very cool in the way it was described. I mean, it just sounded like a demon assassin, like it had multiple arms and I think multiple swords, maybe.
Also had multiple penises, worth bringing up.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
it? Oh, I missed. I think
penises, two penises.
Talk about
just
fetishes, am I
flopped
right?
out.
Oh, yeah. So I'll say in terms of like, you know, art direction and kind of general vibe, I mean, he did slaughter that whole camp in the span of like 2 screams also.
Whole
which is
camp for
pretty
one
crazy.
dude.
Which I guess is cool.
Yeah, I'll say like his badass like level, it's a solid like 9.2, right? In terms of like conversationalist, I don't know if I'm gonna get the same kind of deal as with Apt. Apt would just give a look with his one eye and it spoke 1,000 words. And I don't know if New Demon's gonna give me
Apples
that.
or her?
Apt was a her, Josh,
Apt,
please.
her, sorry, you are correct.
And, okay, so, but more seriously, how'd you feel about this whole sequence, meeting Sin, having Kalam kind of start this journey, and him ending up within this mountain fortress?
I think one of my what I got out of this is that Kalam has hit this point of competence where I think he's about to just be let down by everyone he ever tries to interact and work with. Because this whole chapter is him being like, all right, I'll do this, and this, and I'll meet all these people, it'll be great. And he's like, oh, this Sin girl's on my side, great. Ah, she super poisoned a bunch of people. Okay. Oh, she was going to be able to break in. Oh, she was going to use an illusion. Okay, and she's not even sure she can pull the illusion off. Okay. I got the Captain Kindly. He's dead. And who's left? Someone I've never heard of. Great. Like, I just feel like he's so competent and he's just going to be let down over and over again by these people. So
Do you have any thought about what he could be doing here on Seven Cities?
Zero clue. I would say, I do want to point out that the most interesting thing to me about this whole chapter was these fucking daggers he got at the beginning. Love me some magic weapons that have an unknown origin. I hope it'll come up and he'll figure out what it is and, you know, why they were invested with magic. Seems pretty cool. I have no guesses as to what Kalam's doing. He's keeping it close to the chest.
Well, I guess we'll have to find out. Let's keep things moving.
Pause.
Across the sea.
Pause. Sorry.
sorry.
He's 100% gonna at some point cross paths with Pearl and Lostara Yil, though. They're probably both gonna end up fucking going to Raraku or some dumb bullshit, and then like their targets won't be there, but they'll find each other and like fucking fight or something dumb. That's my guess.
Well, I guess we'll see. Let's go across the sea to the moving island of Drift of Vale, India. So when Cutter washes ashore, well, first he's on this boat, and I kind of love him thinking about Apsalar, because I feel like in this moment, Cutter's really like excited about his new identity and like being like, I'm a murder man now, you know. And then he's like, oh, I don't know, Apsalar, she's so good at murder, but maybe she doesn't like it. It's like the first time he's ever had a thought about what her interiority may be like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It seems somewhat out of touch to me, but also he washes ashore. He meets this mysterious Tistandi, Darist, and Darist is like, oh yeah, she's probably dead. And then they have a whole long conversation where he is very accusatory. What did you make all this? Do you think Apsalar's dead? And what do you think's going on with this dude?
No, Apsalar's not dead. And I thought, so as always, I'm confused because of where they are. So this place is where the Throne of Shadow is, and it is being protected, I thought, by multiple people, only to find out that there's only one left. Right or wrong?
It's just this dude. No, you got it.
Okay.
So is it, and so it's confirmed? I thought there's gonna be like something like he's just like an idiot and there's more or something.
Well, I agree. It's a little mysterious. We will learn more. That's not the whole pie, but that's the gist, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so now he's here, and what? Why? What were they going to this place? This is just for the cotillion sent them?
It's just another cotillion quest.
This is so stupid. I mean, I don't really get this whole Tisty Eater, Tisty Andy thing yet. I don't really like they're not friends, correct? They they fight each other.
Yeah.
And did they kill everyone? Did they kill all the people that were here? Assumedly, like was there like is that what he said? Didn't he say that they were like up there? I don't know where up there is.
I think you're perfectly fine with feeling a little confused about their current state. So I think I don't know if I need to clarify it. AJ, why don't you jump in?
So I think what's helped me think about these the different Tist people is it's just straight up just racism, right? There's the Tistandy, which are of shadow, right? Or of dark, rather.
Dark. Eater is of shadow.
Eater is of shadow. And then the Leosian are of light. And the Leosian of light look down on Shadow and Andy, or Eater and Andy. And I don't know. That's just kind of how I've been thinking about it. It's just like one is it's dark, shadow, and light, and
and they're sibling races, yeah. Like
yes,
they come from.
They all come from mother dark and father light.
Yeah.
And
I think the racism analogs made most clear when we meet the Leosian later on, and they're being super puritanical and very explicitly xenophobic. Mm-hmm. The thing is, we're gonna have time to learn more about it. So I think their clarity will come. So I think it'll come. Josh, how did you feel about Darist and this island? And he's very accusatory about if Animander rakes Cutter. You know, and he's asking a lot of questions about why he's there and his relationship to other Tist Andy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the dude's just kind of off his rocker. Like, if all the other Tisty Andy here died for whatever reason, and he's just been here for, like, hundreds of years on his own, like, I think he's just, like, lost it. That's my guess. I don't really know. It's going to be hard to say. Like, if, you know, we don't know if, like, these events he's talking about happened ages ago or are currently happening.
Yeah. Well, and then finally, Josh, we check in with Onrak and Troll and this duo wandering through the nascent together. They have an awesome conversation about statues and what it means to worship the statue and put it into form. Yeah. Love that conversation.
It works really well because, like, literally the next chapter starts off with Carson making statues.
Exactly. There's some thematic connection, right? And then, of course, there's they get attacked. Onrak gets broken, and then there's all this stuff. So what you make all this and seeing more of this duo? Well,
So first off, when the two dogs initially attacked, I found it very interesting that they were classified as Hounds of Darkness specifically. Because now that has me wondering, are there Hounds of Darkness and Hounds of Light in addition to the Hounds of Shadow that we already know? Like, are there three different? Gotta catch them all. I need to meet all these good boys and girls. I was, that was interesting to me. I feel like Tool and Onrak are, they're very similar in that they're both clanless and, they've been rifted from other people. But, like, Onrak is so much more of a fucking downer about it, man. He's like, leave me be. I've broken. What can I do for you? Nothing.
Why is he, like, but why can't he be, why is he broken?
He broke his vow or left his clan or something, and, like, this whole race, their whole fucking thing is honor and being bound by the honor of fighting these Jaghut. And, like, I guess when you break from that honor, like, some of them, like, the magic that keeps you alive forever as a bone man doesn't go away, but, like, the magic that can, like, heal you or, like, send you on seems to kind of just, or maybe it's just that it could work, but his, the Logos Talani Mask would just be like, no, fuck you, and wouldn't help him. I don't really know just yet.
Yeah, honestly, I think my reading's a little different, but I'm not 100% clear on specifically why this incident caused it. But yeah. I do think you could be a little wrong. I would actually love some clarification. We should seek it out after this recording.
Sounds good. But I thought that was cool. I did not expect the portal to break open and then there to be just, like, magical, high elves, I guess is how I would describe them. I mean, they're, like, it's so on the nose that they are just, like, every fantasy depiction of, like, golden-haired, pure of skin,
Yeah, the closest we get to Lord of the Rings elves.
Yeah, but also Steve really doubled down on, like, them being haughty assholes, which is, like, a lot of the time elves are in other fantasy books, but this one, Steve's just like, yeah, they fucking suck, dude. Like, he's not letting it be any, wishy-washy there. Also, I texted this to Pete. Steve is really, really into sneaking in, future fucking book titles in. So in this one, he like casually is like, the time asked that we meet are just like, we've got more hunting or something. And I'm like, oh, I guess I know what bone hunters are now. Cool.
We've got more bones to hunt.
Yeah, that one. I was like, we got bone hunters. We did it. Yeah, I thought it was cool. I really thought we were going to get a really cool fight, but...
Yeah, and then at the end, it seems like they're all going to try and wiggle their way out of their warren together. Aj, so out of this section, we kind of touch in with 3 different storylines that are all kind of... These storylines are really separate from the Seven Cities Malazan rebels conflict. Mm-hmm. Which of these stood out to you, and which one did you feel drawn to during this part?
I think it's interesting because they all have what I love about a lot of Memories of Ice is like, my favorite parts of a lot of these books or these 2 books are the buddy parts where it's just like 2 people hanging out, having a good time. And like, that is this whole chapter. And it's great. But I think my favorite duo currently is Onrak and Trull. I just really love the dynamic. I'm here for that broody Talanim ass shit. The you can't do anything to help me. I'm blah. But they also, when they first interacted and Onrak freed Trull, like that was a great moment, and there was some like light chuckles in that section, and I don't know, I'm just looking forward to the future of their interaction, I guess.
With that said, let's keep things moving and check in with the Whirlwind. Chapter 10. In Raraku, Karsa carves statues of the Teblor gods and thinks on Bareth and Delim. Karsa regrets carving the statues of the gods, and then Leomin joins him. Leomin will ride with the Dog Slayers to contest Tavor's march towards Raraku, nipping at her heels but not meeting her in full battle. They then speak of loyalty and cruelty. Haborg speaks with the High Mages and Shaik about the House of Chains. Each High Mage offers a few different thoughts, and Shaik re-examines the strange new unaligned card that has entered the deck. They theorize about its strange look and its opposition to the House of Chains. Afterwards, Fellison Younger says she wants to venture out of the camp with Haborg, that the old man must leave for his own safety. Karsa and Leomin's conversation continues, now about the wild horses of the Jag Odan. Karsa decides he will go to find himself a horse big enough for the Teblor to ride, and will ask Shaik for permission to go. After Leomin leaves, Urgal's statue awakens, and Karsa holds a contentious conversation with the gods. They speak of chains together and freedom. Karsa then speaks to Bareth and Delim statues, and they make silent peace together. Karsa vows to both his friends and to Urgal. Leoric finds Haborg, and they speak of the other High Mages and of the rebellion. Leoric offers to share what he knows about the Jade statues, to hear about the House of Chains. First they speak of the Tisti, their warrens, and tyranny amongst the Tisti races. After, Haborg shares that the unaligned card is a bridge burner, and that the bridge burner has received a song from a Tano spirit walker that is yet to be fulfilled. Leoric says then that the Jade statues are intruders from another realm, arriving wrapped in Otataro, and Haborg then listens to Leoric's last thoughts. Later, Leomin and Karsa say goodbye, and the 2 companions go their separate ways. Amongst the Dog Slayers, Chemist Relo speaks to Corblo Dam about Karsa's departure, and they worry about Haborg. The 2 discuss their self-serving plan to use the Seven Cities Rebellion to kill Lassine and ascend to the Imperial throne. So we're back in Raraku, and Karsa and Leomin have several conversations throughout the chapter, and we learn about them going their 2 different ways. Leomin's going to set out on the desert to try and harass the Adjunct's army, and Karsa's going to go on his own quest to the Jag Odan, and he also makes amends with these statues. He talks to Urgal. So how did you feel about checking in with and learning about what Karsa and Leomin are going to be doing?
So actually, this chapter, I think for me was the most difficult to understand. Just because it feels so like, I don't know if you guys felt this way, but it just trying to grasp everything that they're saying was like, and like understand it was like really difficult. But as for Karsa and Leomin going their separate ways, I don't understand why like Leomin is going. I don't know if that was clear to anyone else or what he was doing. So that was confusing. I don't know why anyone, like, I'm just confused as to where the story is going now, I think, because I thought that everybody was going to gather here at this whirlwind location desert thing. But if they're leaving, how is that are they coming? Like, what? I just don't understand. I'm having trouble like understanding why as I
like contextualizing it in the big picture of the book.
Yeah.
Because I'm with India, because to me it felt like, at best, the only reason I could see for Leomin's choice is that he was fucking bored. I think his reasoning is that like we must harass them on the way so they're weakened. But it's really just like, I mean, you have actually you don't need to do that. That's just kind of like a waste of ammo and like probably troops' lives. And then Karsa was like, that's a great idea. I shall join you, but I don't have a horse. What if I go across the continent to get a horse so that I can ride back and join you? Like, the only way this makes sense, and Peter, you might be able to tell me this, is I guess my issue with it is how long of a march do the Malazians even have to get to Raraku? Like, if they're only going to take 2 weeks to get through, I don't see how Karsa walks across the continent, gets a horse, and comes back. But is it longer? Like, is it going to be like 2 months of marching through the desert? If so, then I guess I kind of get not wanting to wait around the whole time, but I don't know. I was having trouble with it too, India.
Yeah. And Urugal, he's the god, the head god.
Yeah, he's the one who speaks most often, yeah.
Okay. He seems like kind of an asshole.
Before we move on to Borikinj, I at least want to mention that he speaks to Bareth and Delam in statue form before he leaves for his horse journey. I kind of like that scene. Did it mean anything to you, or how'd you feel?
Is it wrong of me to say no? It just seems like,
no.
How much do we have to like redeem characters here? Like, can't we just be like over it? Like, okay, he's not a bad guy anymore. Like, why do we have to do this whole?
Well, let the record show, I never thought he was a bad guy because he was a bad friend. Him being a bad friend is amongst his lesser
No,
crimes.
I know. Yeah. But, like, why do we need to do this then? Like, okay, we get it. Why do we have to make the statues and play the martyr and be like, well, and then the guy's like, well, these statues are so stupid. Why are you making these statues?
India, my only thought is that he must be pretty goddamn important for us to be spending that much time in his interpersonal turmoils. Like, he's got to have some big fucking part to play, and we need some emotional impact, because like like thinking of it from how books work, I guess he's gonna die, and like I as the reader need that to be a big impact, and so he needs to reconcile with his friends. I loved it. I mean, at this point, I would be bummed if Karsa died, but I would not be like irreconcilable like I was with fucking Whiskey Jack.
Yeah.
Can I?
No, sorry, inconsolable. That's the word I wanted.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, I thought it was in the very beginning of this chapter when Karsa and Leomin are talking. I thought it was interesting when Karsa was voicing his concerns about Shaik really just being Felisin, and like how much is she really reborn and blah blah blah. And I thought it was interesting that Karsa is now, it's kind of the shoe is on the other foot, where Karsa is now the one who has doubts about his their god or whatever. Where in the beginning of the book, it was Bayroth and Delam who were like, well, I don't know, Karsa. And Karsa was like, no, we're doing it. But now we've kind of switched places where Karsa is the one who's skeptical and Leomin is like, no, it doesn't matter what she was before she was Shaik. She is Shaik now. And Karsa's like, yeah, okay, sure. I just thought that was some interesting character development.
I agree. I think it's an interesting parallel, especially at the beginning, as you said. But for me, I thought it was an interesting almost reversal of earlier on in book 2. There was a conversation, I forget, but I think it was between Karsa about entertaining the idea of the whirlwind using Felisin, and that she is kind of a prop or a puppet in some way, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was this conversation that I felt like was almost entertaining this reverse idea that you're talking about, about whether whether Felison is playing the whirlwind. I mean, whether she is like playing all these rebel people, you know? So I thought it was kind of interesting to have both ideas be reflected, because in some ways she has like conned and deceived all these people, you know? Like she is like fully conned herself into a power position, you know?
Yeah.
So, Josh, aside from the Karsa stuff in this chapter, we talk a lot about Haboric. And first, he's seeing a kind of council scene all about the House of Chains and some other Deck of Dragons stuff we mostly know about. But then he has this conversation with the High Mage Lorik, where we learn a lot about these jade statues and kind of weird Haboric dream stuff and Tist stuff. So how did all of this weird exposition hit you, and how much of it did you grasp?
I will say that I have said this phrase at least once every book. And the phrase is, I understand that this is pivotal information. And it is infuriating because I have no fucking clue what it has to do with anything or how to interpret it or the larger ramifications. I have nothing. Like, they were like, the jade statues come from another world. Okay, what other world? I don't know. Like, best I got, the only thing I could think of is that I know that the chain god came from another world too. Or is that related? Like, I got nothing. Like, that's the only other world I've heard of, is that like the chain god came from one. It was a lot. The Tano Spirit Walker, I remember that from book 2. I remember thinking it would be a huge thing that would be used at a pivotal moment in book 2, and then it didn't. So I forgot about it until they mentioned that.
Well,
and they're like,
Fiddler uses the Tano Spirit Walker shell. That's right.
He uses that. Yeah. But and so like to find out that a song has been begun and it has to be, I'm like, I don't know. I have zero idea how any of this works out. I'm sure on a reread, it's like, yes, the plot of book 6. Here it is, you know, or whatever.
I will say there is some stuff that
I'm sure there's some stuff that's like going to happen this book, and some stuff that is like seed planting for a while but later.
Well, what I mean is I think there's some stuff through that I, looking back, reasonably think, oh, I guess I could have put the pieces together if I tried, you know. But honestly, this jade statue thing is so... There's just no way you...
Thank God.
I can't wait to talk about it.
Okay.
So,
the only thing I have
God bless.
is with the Tano Spirit Walker, if I remember something, it's like songs are cyclical, right? Only thing I have is we do in fact have one singular bridge burner who is currently doing a walk through the desert, and that is Fiddler, you know, as part of an army. We also have Kalam going through the desert, as you know, doing his own thing. My best guess is that the two of them going through the desert again, maybe in some way that completes the song. It's a redo of that initial thing, and like once they've done something, the bridge burners will become ascendant or some fucking bullshit. I don't really know. That's as good as I got.
Well, you should cut out my shitty point, AJ. That was a great point for me, Josh. So
yeah, that's a
Inge. Yeah. How much of this kind of sounds like Josh got some
Nothing.
of it? How much of this? No, nothing.
I didn't. India. I didn't get that in the read. I got that looking through it right now. Like, huh? Like in the moment, I was just like, what the fuck are you saying? Also, again, Steve, fucking Haboric. You know who his new best friend is? Horic.
fuck that. Oh my
That's
god.
stupid as shit.
Why? Why does he do it to us?
It's the same thing when we met Cuddle. I was like, yes, Cutter. Wait, no.
Yeah. We got Cuddle, we got Lord, we got Haboric.
There's
Like,
any name
why?
that you could ever think of, ever.
I can't
And
wait
these are
until
the
we meet
ones.
Barca
We got
Forlong.
Thelamin. We got Thelamin and his best friend Leomin. Just both ending in men. Like,
So, okay, Inge, so I get you. I feel y'all. So, Inge, finally, the last part of this chapter, we come to Corblo Dom, who's in his tent being a schemy
I'm done with
young
him.
thing.
He needs to die.
Reach. Fuck this dude.
Go ahead, PB. What's the question?
Well, what do you think? How do you feel like him and Camus Relo's master scheme? What do you think the future for them is?
They are going to fail, and I don't. It's just so outlandish that they believe that the pieces that they have said are going to fall, and this guy's going to kill this person, and this person's also going to kill this person, and this person's going to kill this person, and they're going to be like, oh my god, you guys killed this person. Let's go to let's reward you, and then we'll kill her, and then we are going to be like, what? Like, very overconfident, very, very half-baked, their little plan, and I don't know. I don't know who's going to stop them or how, but it's just so stupid, and I think it's it's just ridiculous that they see such a long game. They just know that this is how it's going to happen.
I want to hop in here. Are we familiar with the Peter principle? And I didn't know it was called this until I Googled it just now, and I find it fucking funny that it's called the Peter principle.
Tell me the Peter principle.
So I feel like this perfectly describes fucking Corporal O'Dom. The Peter principle is the concept which observes that people in a hierarchy tend to rise to their level of incompetence, meaning eventually they are competent, and eventually that leads to them being placed somewhere that is wholly outside of their realm of being able to do it. In many ways, I feel like that's Corporal O'Dom, because like he got to Fist and he's like, or High Fist or whatever, and now he's like, I should be the Emperor. And it's like, you fucking crucified an entire army.
You're fucking middle management, Corporal O'Dom.
At best, you are assistant to the regional manager, Corporal O'Dom. Like, that is as good as you are getting.
Aj, do you have anything you want to share about the whirlwind or this chapter?
I loved the Bayroth and Delam moment. I do want to clarify. I don't think we're meant to think that Karsa is now a good person, because he's like definitely not.
Then why?
Better.
He's better. He's not like raping and killing people. I mean, he's still killing people, but why? What? And
like, then I just thought it was such a. Sometimes when we read things in chapters that are 200 pages long, I wonder, why did we add this? And that was one of those moments. But everyone else liked it, so I think I'm just wrong.
No, I think I just like to see. People being friends. I don't know. I think the moment where he, well, first when he makes Delam and Bayroth their statues, I think it's just like we're meant to see Karsa kind of reckoning with his past, and he reckoned with it earlier in the book, but I think seeing now that it is still with him, like that Bayroth and Delam and the Lead Me War Leader and stuff has still stuck with him over the, I don't know, how long has it been since the end of the beginning of this book?
Forever.
Sometime. Yeah. I don't know. I just think it shows that Karsa is now a reflective person, as opposed to kind of a, I guess, reactive, and not really reacting to the world around him, and more kind of being more insular and thinking about what his place is, as opposed to like, or what his place is in a different way, Yeah.
My final question is, how are they actually in this statue? Is it because magic? Or?
Yeah, because magic, it sounds like.
Okay. Well, that's
because he made them look so good.
Their spirits lingered, and then they were like, damn, I look fucking fine as this statue. Let me
I would love to be a mini statue.
Oh, also, I just love
is he actually talking to them?
That's what I was
that's another thing. He could just be fucking crazy. Who knows?
I think.
Honestly, that thought didn't even cross my mind.
Of my friends, and they totally forgive me for me getting them murdered.
Oh, I didn't think of it like that.
Thank you.
Shit.
Exactly.
Wow. Damn.
What's the fucking point?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I guess we'll talk about it.
Statues don't fucking
All right.
talk.
Let's keep things moving and talk about our last chapter here. Chapter 11. Gamut walks with Tavor through Coltane's Fall. The site of the slaughter has become a site of pilgrimage for tribes across 7 cities. Gamut informs her that although the Crow clan has joined them, the elders refuse to accept young Temul as their leader. Fiddler and Gessler speak of faith in commanders and observe the fetishes hanging from the trees outside of Erin. The 14th have raised the standard of a figure grasping a bone before a sandstorm. Fiddler then thinks of his squad, and the mages of Mianus in both his and Gessler's squads. Tavor tends to her Otateral sword alongside Gamut when the Clawmaster Topper joins them to bring word of the losses on Genebacchus. Bottle, elsewhere, magically eavesdrops in the conversation and thinks back to his grandmother's counseling to him to seek a deeper power. Fiddler and the others are found by Bottle, and Bottle shares news of Whiskey Jack's death and the Bridgeburner's end. Fiddler leaves to grieve alone and finds the young Wiccan leader Temul. Temul is frustrated with trying to gain control over the Wiccan. He speaks to Fiddler about Coltane's and Diker's end. Topper ends his report by speaking of Perrin's death and Dujek's army. The High Fist will come to 7 cities, but with a small, broken army. Topper leaves, and Tavor speaks briefly before going to find Amber. Fiddler returns to camp and speaks with the older Sapple Cuddle. They speak of Hood and what makes a good army. Together, they agree the adjunct Tavor is made of cold iron, and they ought to find it in themselves. So, Ange, we check in with Tavor again, and we're kind of checking in as the 14th Army learns really what happened at Ganabakis. And first we hear it from Tavor, Topper, Gamut's point of view, and then we check in with Fiddler and the soldiers later on. So first, how did you feel about Tavor hearing this news, but also before she sees Coltane's fall and see how the site of Coltane's slaughter has kind of become this pilgrimage site? So how'd you feel about those two things with the adjunct?
I love Tavor's character. I felt like what the Ganabakis thing was, I just feel like she must feel so inferior and out of the loop. Because so many huge things happened and there are so many people who are seen as obviously like very important. They're creating entire pilgrimages for Coltane or whatever. And I just feel at this point, she feels very like she's just never going to have that herself. Like everything that she's doing is just in the shadow of someone else. And she's never, and I think that for her is hard because she's trying to make her own name here. And it's just so clear that everyone that she has now taken ownership over is like devoted to others. So with that said, I thought that this whole pilgrimage thing was just like, how much more does she need to hear about this whole situation? I mean, I guess she needs to hear a lot, but I feel bad for her. I feel like she is stressed out and just trying to make a name for herself and to win this thing and to be something important because, it's hard out here being a woman leader.
And she hears about her brother's death, so it's like,
What brother's death?
These people with the news from Ganabakis, Perrin is reported as dead.
Yeah, because remember, Dujek makes a point to list all the bridge burners as dead.
Yeah.
It was a spy in the army that told the Whirlwind group that they were alive.
Oh.
Yeah.
So Fellison knows he's alive.
But Tavor thinks he's dead.
Damn, yeah.
These siblings are far-flung.
And, Tavor felt so bad for Fellison because she was like, oh, Perrin redeemed us. And I was like, you don't feel bad because you fucking sent her into slavery, you asshole?
There was one part in this chapter where Gamut was like, maybe we didn't need to do that.
Yeah. I'm so pissed.
Josh, how'd you feel about seeing this Tavor stuff? We talked about it briefly, but then the news is really touched in from Fiddler, and he goes and consoles Temul, and Fiddler himself grieves for the lost bridge burners, including Whiskey Jack.
I thought it was, I like Fiddler a lot. I do sometimes feel like we have not gotten super duper deep into him. Like in book 2, it's a lot of him being like, fuck me, I'm the only normal one here, And in this one so far, it's kind of, now he's like the opposite. He's like the competent guy. And so it's very nice to see him have like this, very emotional moment. And, it was very powerful for him to in the middle of that emotional moment to just console this boy Temul and, work through his own grief as he's trying to help this guy, basically this kid. I thought it was really nice. I think Fiddler is one of my favorite characters, and this scene only cements it.
I love the scene with Temul. Not only is there an intimacy there, but I also think Temul can stand in for Tavor in a way, as they're both young, untested leaders.
Very true,
there's a real
true.
parallel there.
I also really want to quick talk about Bottle. I found Bottle is such a... I don't know, I feel like there is a chance that we are going to, the characters we're meeting right now are going to be very important. But as I said before, until they last more than half a book, I don't learn their names. But Bottle instantly, he's just he only has I just checked, half a page. But that's all he needs to be remembering his grandma talking about the old ways and how he's just basic. It sounds super similar to what Nil and Nether do, when they call upon the life force of an area or the ancient spears. It sounds related to that, He says he's riding the wings of grasshoppers. And I was love that.
Well, I just want to say I'm a big Bottle head. Love Bottle. So I loved seeing into him, and I always love hearing from that character.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I've learned since book 3 when I thought Picker and Blend wouldn't be important, and then they fucking were super important.
Yeah. Also, I just want to shout out, Topper is a character that doesn't show up that often, and like we don't know anything about, but it's a great name. Topper is just a great name for a character, especially like a big wine drinking spy master, you know?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Outer Banks?
Oh my god! I watched the first episode of Outer Banks. I could not stand it.
That looked like teen bait. It looked like teen, like, hey teens, watch this cool show.
There is
I
a
couldn't do it.
character named Topper on that show.
Is there a different connotation?
No, he's
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a sex thing, you know?
It sounds like you're leading to a sex
no, it's
thing.
his real name. He's just a rich young man.
Well, I would say in real life, if I met someone named Topper, I don't know. It's out there.
I don't recommend it.
Okay, back on track.
Sorry.
It would be the only thing I could think about. Like the whole time, I'd just be like, your name's Topper.
So AJ, at the end, they say some big things about Tavor and the army trying to find some strength within them. But we're coming to the end of book 2, right? So book 1 really introduced Karsa, and then we talked a little about last episode that we felt like this book was actually like reintroducing all these characters and like set actually the start of the book in a way. It was like setting back up where we are in Seven Cities. Mm-hmm. So now that all the Seven Cities pieces are kind of put into place and we kind of understand what everyone's doing, what are you looking forward to, and what are you expecting in the second half of House of Chains?
Honestly, I just want more of what Karsa's doing. I just want to see how that story plays out and see what happens with him heading west to get this big horse. I think I'm really excited to see what like the individual storylines are going to do. Like I want to know what's going to happen with Kalam. I want to know what's going to happen with Cutter and Absalar. Like I'm not super interested in the bigger, like I'm not interested a whole lot in like the conflict between the Malazan and the rebellion. Like that's gonna happen, and like sure, cool, neat, but like I want to know what Karsa's gonna be doing with this big horse. I want to know what Kalam's gonna be doing, and like what's happening with Cutter and stuff, and on Rack and Troll. Like all the smaller stories is what I'm interested in.
Inge, what about you? Where are your eye to going into the second half of the book?
Oh my god. I want to know, my most pressing thought is why are Haboric and Felsen Younger going away together, and what are they going to find? And are they going to find something crazy? And I'm excited about that. So I'm looking forward to finding more out about their journey. I feel like what's going on with those fucking jade hands is going to be really
Haboric's just the best boy.
He just has a lot of secrets going on, and I want to know what they are. So I'm looking forward to seeing if there's some kind of game-changing shit that happens there.
And Josh, what about you, finally?
I think I'm most interested in the Cutter story because it is the one I know absolutely nothing about, but I feel like we're going to learn some game-changing shit on this weird-ass island that they're on. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm at. I think, secondly, Karsa and his big horse. Very, very good. Can't wait. I don't really care much about Kalam's story in this book, I think, so far. He's going to have to really win me back, you know?
Well, it's tough because I think his purpose is so shrouded right now.
Yeah, that's why. I'm sure in later books, or I'm sure if I was rereading that, I'd be like, oh, I knew where this is going. But I got nothing from him. I don't really know where Leoman's going. Don't really care about that. So I think mostly Cutter and Karsa are where I'm hyped to see.
Oh, I forgot. Also, Lostara Yil and Pearl. I'm all in on that duo.
Oh, hell yeah.
This is a lot of threads.
I'm curious to see. Josh, it is a lot of threads. I'm curious to see how all the Coltane threads come together at like one pivotal moment in this book when they're all like, yeah, we're all working for Coltane.
Yeah.
You mean Cotillion.
Cotillion, sorry. Yeah.
Guys, it's just a lot to keep track of. How do people read this without doing a podcast where they get to remember all the shit that happened?
Truly.
Dude, you're telling me. Honestly, I feel like this second time through has been, first off, it helps already having read all the books, and it's very clarifying to then also like write summaries and talk about it. I feel like my comprehension is just greatly increased because of it. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's all for us for this episode, and of course, tell a friend about the show. Let us know what you think about it. We're at 10 Very Big Books in Gmail and Twitter, and thanks for listening. Woo!
Hello, everyone. Producer AJ here after a long day of multiple recording sessions. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast, and big thanks to everyone who has backed the Patreon. As of this recording, we are only a few patrons away from hitting 100 monthly patrons, which is just crazy. We are blowing through all of these milestones. Thanks to you all. Before I get into the rest of the regular credit stuff, I just want to take a moment to shout out how good Steve is at writing about grief. I kind of brought this up in the last episode talking about Haborik consoling Feliston, but this time our POV character is the person actually feeling the grief, talking about when Fiddler hears the news of the bridge burners at Coral. I'm just going to read a little excerpt. The curses grew more elaborate, along with postulations of disbelief, but Strings no longer heard them. His mind was numb as if a wildfire had ripped through his inner landscape, scorching the ground barren. He felt a heavy hand settle on his shoulder and vaguely heard Gessler murmuring something, but after a moment, he shook the man off, rose, and walked into the darkness beyond the camp. He did not know how long or how far he walked. Each step was senseless. The world outside his body was not reaching through to him, remaining beyond the withered oblivion of his mind. It was only when a sudden weakness took his legs that he sank down onto the wiry, colorless grasses. And finally, the ending of this section of the chapter. Strings watched him ride into the darkness. He sat motionless on the boulder for a time, then slowly lowered his head into his hands. I think this is just such an accurate depiction of what it is like to have someone you care about just suddenly not in your life anymore. The emptiness, followed by the dawning realization that you'll never see that person or those people ever again. It's just like really, really, really impacting stuff. Okay, now that I have sufficiently brought the mood down, if you'd like to check out our Patreon, you can visit the link in our show notes or head on over to patreon.com/10verybigbooks. There is a great public post on there that explains exactly how we want to use the money we're making. And so if that interests you at all, head on over and give that a read. Of course, you can always tweet us your thoughts and feelings about the show at 10verybigbooks. You can email us 10verybigbooks@gmail.com, and you can also join our Discord by heading to bit.ly/VBB Discord. That is capital V, capital B, capital B, capital D, Discord. The link will also be in the show notes. And as always, thank you so very much to Dan Geserick for making our spectacular logo. You can follow him on Twitter at Dan Geserick for some Overwatch League tweets. Go Fuses. And of course, the wonderful music in today's episode is by the one and only Amaranthin from their album Simulant Rain, which you can find along with their other music on bandcamp.com. Links to their pages will be in the show notes, and 10 Very Big Books will be back in 2 weeks on August 28th talking about House of Chains Book 3. The whole thing. Get ready for a chunky episode. Talk to you then, and thank you so much for listening.
You get one take on this word. If you fuck it up, I'm never letting you live it down.
Oh my god.
Chapter 10. In Raraku.
9, you fucking idiot!
Don't be mean, Josh.
I'm sorry. I didn't think that was the word he's gonna fuck up.
I really thought so too. I was like, it's a fucking easy word. I'm gonna fucking fuck you, Josh. Like, I'm just.
Let's all go home.
All right.
You got this, buddy.